What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the spot. We're doing another special episode this weekend. We're gonna do our, I guess, like an award show, the Spotcast Awards, where we don't
The,
actually give any awards to anyone, but we tell them they're good.
yeah, we sent everyone their invitations, but unfortunately, no one could come to the ceremony. So, yeah, it's whatever.
Ryback tried to come, but he tried to say it was his idea, so I pulled the invitation. Yeah, it was awkward.
Yeah, yeah, and he's just not the kind of guy that we want to bring around our podcast. For being honest,
The big guy.
the big guy Ryback.
But yeah, we're gonna do a best of listing for the year. One per category, so it's going to be the best of that category for the entire year.
We're gonna probably throw a couple of honorable mentions in there because there's a couple of these categories where it was just so close it was almost impossible to choose.
Yeah, yeah. I have one right now where I still didn't decide. But we'll kick it off with a strange one since we haven't really talked about this on the show before. And we'll go with MMA Fighter of the Year, which I'll let you go, or I'll go first. You know a lot more about MMA than I do. I haven't really watched it in a few years. And my answer is kind of the mainstream answer, and it's Demetrius Johnson. Uh, I don't watch a lot of UFC events, but when he's on the card, I will watch it 100%.
Oh, I mean, and I think right now Demetrius Johnson's not my pick, but I think he is without a doubt the pound for pound best in the world right now. I mean, guy, like you kind of said, I train a little bit of MMA, wrestled my whole life. I have never seen a fighter that just has no weak points like he does.
Yeah.
I mean, striking, he's one of the best in the world. On the ground, his jiu-jitsu is bar none. I mean, he's an incredible fighter.
And then he went over when he did that weird fucking like slamming into an armbar. That oh my god, it was so fucking weird. I still haven't figured out how he did it.
I don't either. And you want to know the crazy thing is, I heard about that. He had been training that for years. And it's just one of those obscure things. He's like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to pull it out. And he did. Whenever he makes his inevitable transition to the cruiserweight division, that'll be his finisher.
God, I hope not.
I really hope not either. So my fighter of the year, he's wasn't the most active guy, but he's a guy that I think has really revitalized the heavyweight division, is Francis Ngannou. He's a guy who just 5 years ago was homeless on the streets of Cameroon and ended up moving to France and walking into an MMA gym. And he is now possibly the scariest heavyweight I have ever seen in my life. He's knocked out Alistair Overeem, Andrei Arlovsky. I mean, just a laundry list of guys. He's going to fight Stipe Miocic at the first card of the new year. Stipe is probably my favorite fighter in the UFC, but I am terrified he's going to drop that heavyweight belt to Francis. So, yeah, my MMA fighter of the year is Francis Ngannou.
You know, and that's weird because I was actually thinking about him as well. That's really weird because I don't know a lot of fighters anymore, but he was one that I was actually thinking about.
Oh, he's a terrifying man. If I was in a dark alley and I ran into him, I'd probably just cry.
I'll just call my mom. It's the only thing you can do. Hopefully he would respect it.
Yeah, just tell her that I love her before he ate me.
Yeah. Before we move into the full wrestling list, we have another non-wrestling, kind of wrestling, non-wrestling. It's a non-wrestler category, and it's a favorite non-wrestler personality of the year.
Yes.
Mine is Corey Graves. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead. No, you're totally fine.
But mine is Corey Graves, and I liked him as a wrestler, but as a commentator, he has stepped the fucking game up. It's insane. It is. No one should be that talented without any. Because to my knowledge, he doesn't have any sort of a broadcasting career before wrestling.
No.
And I think you can make the argument he's the best commentator out there in WWE at least.
I think he's the best commentator, period, right now. And I think in a few years, Corey Graves, I mean, he has the possibility of going down as the greatest color commentator of all time.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I mean, I was actually listening to another podcast earlier, and they were talking about him and how he has that old school way of knowing how to be the heel commentator and still get the baby face over.
Yeah, he does a really good job of it.
And that's a lost art, and he's so good at it.
And they're doing like I saw something where they were comparing to how like JBL buried the Ascension as the heel commentator, trying to like go against the
Yes.
Ascension, but he completely buried the Ascension rather than elevating them. Whereas Corey with like Elias, where he fucking like can't stand
Even if
Elias, he lifts Elias up so much with what he says because he never shits on his
oh yeah.
wrestling ability or his gimmick or anything. Whereas JBL was like, oh, those are fucking Legion of Doom ripoffs.
Yep. No, Corey's so good at even when he hates somebody, he talks them up and he makes them sound like they're a legitimate threat to whoever they're wrestling with.
Yeah, yeah.
My non-wrestling personality of the year is going to go to Daryl Takahashi.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this one is probably my most biased pick. I love when wrestlers can get an inanimate object more over than they are. And Hiromu Takahashi is already an incredibly over wrestler, but he got a stuffed cat to be one of the most popular one of the most popular entities in New Japan this year. When the multiple times that Fale destroyed Daryl, it really hit a chord with me, and I think it did with a lot of New Japan fans. So yeah, Daryl Takahashi is my non-wrestling wrestling personality of the year.
I wasn't expecting that. I was not
Yeah.
expecting that.
If we're being honest here, that pick is what actually kind of inspired me to be like, oh, we should do a best of show.
I was not expecting. I didn't even think of that. Damn, you were right. That's very obscure. I wasn't think. I would not have thought of that. Let's go ahead and do. We'll do pay-per-view of the year.
Okay, and I want to start this one off because I think we're probably going to be similar on this one. First off, I want to give an honorable mention to Dominion.
Yep.
Dominion was the first JPW card that Sam and I watched live. We did like a voice call and watched it together, and it was it was a literal experience. I'd never seen wrestling like that before, or a pay-per-view put on like that, and all these guys that I had barely ever even heard of, knew nothing about, who didn't speak English, were able to translate their struggle and their story to me, and I was just so blown away by it, and that was whenever I really became a New Japan fan. But my pay-per-view of the year is NXT TakeOver Chicago. Top to bottom, there was not a bad match on that single card, but they had two matches that just still, I think, will stand the test of time. The first one was a Bate and Dunn in that UK title match. That is one of my favorite matches that I have ever seen, period. I love Pete Dunne. He's probably my favorite heel in the game right now. Those two could literally fight forever, and I'd be happy with it. And then, of course, the other one is the ladder match between Authors of Pain and DIY. Just a classic ladder match, one of the best ones of the modern era. And then, of course, the huge swerve at the end with the trademark logo popping up. You think the pay-per-view is done, and then Tommaso Ciampa just beats the shit out of Johnny Gargano, and what was one of the most brutal turns that I think we've ever seen. So for that, my NXT TakeOver Chicago is my card of the year.
Yeah, I had a feeling we'd have the same answers because we had the same favorite and the same honorable mention. So we can just move on to the next one. And I'm trying to structure these in a way that it builds up. Let's see, what do I want to go with next? We'll do let's go ahead and do Rookie of the Year. I don't have an answer for this. I couldn't fucking think of one, so I'll let you do yours, and I'm probably gonna steal it.
Mine was Flip Gordon. I know the guy's been around for a little bit, but this year he has really busted out and kind of gotten to that more of that mainstream wrestling. His appearances on Being the Elite are hilarious. The ongoing storyline they have with him in Ring of Honor is great. His in-ring work is becoming close to second to none. A little bit smaller of a guy, but we've actually seen a little bit of a size increase in him this year. So definitely be looking for him to be a major player going into 2018.
Yeah, that's actually a really good answer. I'll go with Flip as well. I'll steal it, just because he has been really good, and all his stuff on Being the Elite is hilarious. I fucking love him.
Yep.
But I did say I was going to put him on here, but he's been in the game for a little bit, but not long enough. I'll make my official answer Matt Riddle. Hello.
There you are. I think cut out for a second. Sorry about that.
Well, I gave my official answer as Matt Riddle. I don't know too much about the guy. Like some of these indie promotions I slip on, and he wrestles a lot of those that I do slip on a lot. But every one of his matches I've seen have been really entertaining. I really like watching them.
Yep. Yeah, I love Matt Riddle. I love Matt Riddle for a lot of reasons: his personality, the carefreeness of him. Plus, I'm really getting into this new rise of wrestling characters of these guys that are kind of transitioning from MMA. I dig it.
Yeah, and I like how his gear is he's just an MMA fighter.
Yep, and the no shoes thing, I love that. That's
Yeah.
he's awesome. I'm a big Matt Riddle guy.
Let's go ahead and jump into let's do mark out moment of the year. We probably have the same answer. I'm trying to get the ones we have the same answer for out of the way because I'm sure we have the same answer for these.
Smart.
But yeah, we'll do
You
mark
go
out
ahead.
moment. Mine's the Hardys at Mania. That
Yep.
nothing's gonna top. Nothing tops that. We were all together watching Mania at Alex's this year, and good God,
Every part of it was, and that's my answer too. Every part of it was just so awesome. It was me, you, Blue, our buddy Andy, and my buddy Chase, who's not even a wrestling fan. It was his first time sitting down and watching a wrestling pay per view. But even he knew who the Hardys were, and when they came back, man, I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it. It was just such an awesome moment.
we actually I remember we had to step outside after that match and talk about it.
We all went outside on my balcony and we were all like, okay, man, I need like a cigarette after that. That was wild.
Yeah, it was insane. That's another one of my favorite moments for Mania is watching Chase evolve from like not being interested during the pre-show and then like halfway through the show he was all into it and like asking us questions and getting like, he was marking out and shit. It made me really happy.
Yeah, just to go off that a little bit, this is a guy who like weeks before he constantly gives me shit that I love pro wrestling. He thinks it's the stupidest thing ever. And by the end of it, at the end of WrestleMania, whenever Roman beat Taker, he looks over at me, and we were all kind of like teary-eyed and like, I mean, it was a very emotional, man moment.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and he goes, "Man, I've never watched this stuff before, but I know what I just watched was one of the biggest moments in wrestling history." And I was like, "Yep, you just watched probably one of the craziest things ever." And I mean, he doesn't follow it heavily, but every time we talk, he's like, "Man, what's going on in WWE now?" So, it was a great moment, and it was a moment that I think created a new fan too.
Oh yeah, yeah. He even looked over at us after the Taker loss and was like, "I'm sorry, guys," or he apologized or something.
Yeah.
He felt really bad.
He was like, "I don't even like." He could tell that we were all just destroyed.
Yeah.
This had happened. It was like in that moment we all reverted back to being 10 years old and seeing our childhood hero get crushed by the new baby none of us want to accept.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, my childhood died right then and there in your fucking apartment, dude. Let's go ahead and move on to feud of the year. I have a two-parter on this, and I'm sure one of them is the same answer for you.
There you go. Can you say that one more time?
I have a two-parter on this because I included. There was one on the main roster that I wanted to include, and one on NXT that I wanted to include.
Can you repeat the category? Sorry, you cut out.
It's feud of the year.
Oh yes.
But yeah, I did NXT for one and did main roster for one because there's one for each that I couldn't not include. But I'll do NXT first because I'm sure we have the same answer, and that's Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black.
Yep.
It's a 100% like the epitome of wrestling feud. And the match they had was fucking incredible.
Yeah, I mean I'm a big in-ring storytelling guy. That's what gets me into the match. Like you can have people flipping everything out and be flipping and everything else, and I'll love it. But when you can tell the story with your moves and with your face and your emotion, that's what brings me in. And the match in any promotion this year that did that better than Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black.
Yep. But like I said, I have a main roster one as well, and it's the Shane McMahon, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn whole thing that's going down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a weird reason that I'm picking it, but I'm picking it because it's such a strange thing to me, and I say this every time that we get this feud presented in front of us while we're like watching a pay-per-view or talking about a show or whatever it is that Owens and Sami are being presented as the heels and Shane is being presented as the face, when it's like Shane is going so far out of his way to make these guys a living hell, like their lives a living hell for no reason. Like he's already, like I get Kevin did what he did, but that was so long ago, and Shane's had his opportunity. Like he's already had, he had the Hell in a Cell match. He did what he did. Sami came in and did what he did, but like, just
Yep.
he's having an ego trip, and Daniel's calling him out on it. And I don't know. It's such a weird thing to me how they're presenting that, and I don't know if they're actually going to, pull the trigger on a double turn for that because it's just it's so strange to me.
Well, and I don't even know that they have to do a double turn for it because the turn is already in there because I think you're spot on. I think the fans feel, okay, Shane's just kind of going out of his way at this point to ruin these guys' lives, and these guys are just trying to get along and wrestle.
Yeah.
And you can't argue with their reactions to it.
Yeah, like it's a thing of like, if Shane would just leave them alone, they wouldn't even be fucking with him.
Yep.
Like, he's bringing it on himself. But, yeah, that's my feud for the main roster this year. Simply just because it's so fucking strange to me.
Yeah. My NXT feud is of course Dream and Black.
Yeah.
For every reason that we mentioned, and if we had an overall, that would be my overall feud of the year.
Same.
There was nothing I didn't love about that. My main roster feud of the year is it's kind of weird, like you said. The Miz versus anyone.
Sure, it's fair.
I have loved the Miz's IC title reign this year. It has been I've loved Miz's IC title reign since he beat Ryder the night after WrestleMania 2 years ago. He has been one of the most consistent performers in WWE. He is a workhorse. And every feud that he has, even when it was with someone as small as Apollo Crews, he made me care about it because he was in it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think you forget that Apollo Crews is the most over wrestler in the city of Knoxville.
Yeah. For anyone who didn't realize this, during the Raw that was in Knoxville a couple weeks ago, Sam was there, and the loudest pop of the night went to Apollo Crews.
Yep. Real strange. We got some weird fucking people out here, dude. Weird marks.
Weird fucking wrestling city.
We'll go ahead and move to debut of the year. Pretty sure we have the same answer for this as well.
Yep.
Mine's you can talk on it. You watch more NXT than I do.
Good deal. Mine's going to be the Undisputed Era. All three of them have just crushed it since their beginning. Even whenever Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly had their one-on-one matches with Aleister Black on NXT, they both just showed out there, showed how good they can be. And then Adam Cole debuting at TakeOver and taking out Drew McIntyre, and the Undisputed Era coming out with them. Undisputed Era is I haven't been this excited about a faction in WWE. I couldn't tell you in how long. Between them and Sanity, NXT's got some solid factions going on. But yeah, the Undisputed Era, debut of the year by far. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish already have the NXT tag titles. And I would say before the first half of 2018 is over, Adam Cole will be the NXT champion.
Adam Cole's walking out of TakeOver New Orleans, NXT champion.
Adam Cole, baby.
Baby! Let's see. Let's go breakout of the year. I feel like we might have a different answer for this, but we may actually have the same answer. I'll let you go first. Alex is driving and he keeps cutting in and out. Alex, can you hear me? Okay, I think
now I can't again.
I think Alex is in a rough spot right now. I'll go ahead and give my answer. Mine is Elias Sampson. He came in with a gimmick that was like really strange, and it worked in NXT. But when he debuted on the main roster, it didn't work for a little bit. A lot of people were weirded out by it. But once he actually got the wheels rolling on it and really got it going, it really resonated with the fans really well. And the whole like when he's in the ring and he's singing and he's playing guitar and he's singing the song and the fans start booing and the boos get too loud, he's like, well, great, now I got to start over. That's just such a great thing. And if we were doing Heel of the Year, he'd probably be really high up on my Heel of the Year list. Just for how he does that.
I completely agree. His whole, well, I got to start the song again now is my favorite new heel move.
Yeah, it's so good.
And the way he's a master at working that crowd into doing it too.
Yeah, and another thing I like that they're doing with him is usually with a gimmick like that, they'd have him like they'd have the next wrestler come out and interrupt him while doing it, but they don't really ever do that. It's a rare occasion that someone actually comes out and stops him mid-song anymore.
No, they let him go and really get that heel heat. Now that my connection is back, are we doing breakout star of the year?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So my breakout star of the year has already been mentioned once, but I mean, Velveteen Dream.
Okay.
Man, honest to God, he is probably my favorite wrestler in pro wrestling right now, outside of the guy who's going to be my wrestler of the year. He going from being a tough enough competitor to having what I think is a just main roster, main event ready gimmick. I mean, the gimmick is amazing. His mic skills are great, and he proved with that match against Alistair, his in-ring work is second to none. I want to see that DDT more. That DDT that he hit Alistair with was just awesome.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful. And another thing about Dream is we see a lot of these new NXT guys who come in and they look like they're real green. They don't know how to work the crowd and everything. And I think that really shows that when you're a wrestling fan your whole life and you come in and you start wrestling in the WWE and you show it really shows that it seems like he's known how to do that stuff his whole life.
Yeah, I agree. You can tell that he's someone who has watched this since he was young, been a fan his whole life, and you see it in the way that his character is kind of an homage to so many different, the Rick Rudes. I even see Jake the Snake Roberts in him and his in-ring psychology.
Yeah, he's a very vibrant and he's a very out there character, but the way he works in the ring is very methodical. And yet, just like you said, Jake the Snake's maybe the best comparison for the way he works in the ring. It's a very methodical pace, very slow pace, but he knows how to pick it up when he needs to pick it up.
Yeah, and I mean that Aleister Black Velveteen Dream match, they spent the first 10 minutes of it just doing this great technical wrestling.
Yeah,
I mean mat base, just really getting into it. Well,
and he's gone again. Alex
was on the year. Sorry, say that one more time.
You're going through a rough spot again. I think I lost you for a little bit.
Well, and I don't know why I've got great signal, but it's driving and Sprint is terrible. But yeah. Moving on.
We'll go ahead and do. I'm trying to look up here at the list, see what I want to go with next. We'll do. Let's do WWE Tag of the Year.
Awesome. I want to go ahead and go. I thought we might have the same answer for this, but you seem to
you're cutting out again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now.
What about now?
You're good.
All right. My WWE Tag Team of the Year is the Usos.
Same.
Oh, well, I guess we're not actually different then.
Yeah.
In ring, there has not been a tag team this year that can even hold a candle to them. The reinvention with their characters has been awesome. They went from being a tag team that I just could not stand to see to one that I want to see every single week. Every week, even if they only get 5 minutes for a match, that 5 minutes is going to be great. So yeah, for that, the Usos are my WWE Tag Team of the Year.
Yeah, and you touched on what I wanted to talk on just a little bit there when you said they went from a team that you couldn't stand seeing to one that you couldn't wait to see. How crazy has the evolution of this team been? They went from being face paint wearing, very gimmick, a weird way of putting it.
They went from being these stereotypical Samoans, to these, and I use this word loosely, but thug badasses, but not thug in the bad way. Just they almost. Did you ever play Def Jam? The Def Jam fighting games.
Oh yeah.
They remind me of characters from that, where they're just some hard guys that can just whoop your ass.
Yeah, and yeah, just exactly what you just said. Playing off into that, we go into the Indies tag team that spans everything outside of WWE. Probably have the same answer for this as well.
I'm gonna let you go ahead and go first.
Mine's the Bucks. It's the Young Bucks. What have they not
My,
done?
yep.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, it's insane.
they're marketing geniuses. They're proving that you can be seven-figure wrestlers outside of the WWE.
Yeah, and they have shirts in Hot Topic.
Um, my answer is similar, but a little bit different. I'm actually going to go with the trio of the Young Bucks and Hangman Page.
See, okay, I like that. I really do like that. Don't get me wrong, I love the Elite. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I love the Elite.
Mhm.
But the Hung Bucks, when they're with Hangman Page, I enjoy watching them so much.
Oh, and he is. I mean, he's a big dude, but he's hitting standing shooting star presses,
Yeah.
flying around everywhere. Hangman Page is a future main eventer.
Yeah, and not too
And,
long ago, we were talking about the Bullet Club and all that, and we were I was talking about how much I really didn't care for Hangman Page,
yeah,
and that was like 6 months ago. And now listen to me, I
yeah,
fucking love the guy.
he has completely grown on, and even though I'm a fan of being the Elite, I don't even think it was because of being the Elite. It's just the in-ring stuff that he has done this year.
Oh yeah,
When him and the Bucks together, I think they're the best. I know we don't have a category for this, but they're the best trio in the world.
oh yeah. I'll let it slide. I'll let it be your tag of the year for the Indies. I'll allow it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's maybe my tag. Bucks.
do. Let's do let's go opposite this time. Let's go indie match of the year. And I have a good feeling we'll have different answers for this just because there's been so many good matches in the indies this year.
I think we will too, because my pick is one that I feel like a lot of people have just slept on. So you go and go.
Okay, mine is, and they had a trilogy this year. Everybody was talking about every single one of the matches they had. But I'm going to go Okada Omega 2. Uh, I know the first match blew me away. The first match is honestly, AJ pulled me into New Japan when he was there, but the very first Okada Omega match at Wrestle Kingdom this year is what sucked me in, and then Okada Omega 2. What pay per view was or what event was that at?
Okada Omega 2,
Yeah,
Dominion.
yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okada Omega 2 at Dominion. The way they, the callbacks to the first match. Kenny hitting the one-winged angel on Okada finally, and you're like, oh my god, he's finally gonna win the fucking match, and then what happens? Okada grabs the ropes.
It's a foot on the rope. It's not even a grab on the rope. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
like a toe.
Yeah. Yeah, all the callbacks to the first match, the way they told the story, and then the finish, the 60-minute draw. Oh my god, it was such a great match, start to
It's probably
finish.
it's probably the only time in wrestling history you could give a match a 60-minute draw and no one be upset about it.
Yeah, and my favorite moment of the match, I know I talked about, Omega hitting the one-winged angel and Okada getting on the ropes. But my favorite moment of the match is when Okada's going for the Rainmaker and Omega just collapses from exhaustion.
Oh, he just collapses and he misses. Yeah.
It's it's such great storytelling. It really tells the story of like how exhausting and how long that match had gone on. And
And really how exhausting that feud was.
yeah, yeah. And I don't think it's over. I still don't think it's over.
No, I think long-term booking for NJPW, Okada will eventually regain it from Naito, and then Omega's going to take it off of him.
Yep, yep. Go ahead and let you give you yours.
What category are we on? Sorry, I totally just... indie match of the year, or match of the year, right?
Yeah.
So my match of the year is one that I know a lot of people thought was awesome, but I don't feel like appreciate enough. Tetsuya Naito and Kenny Omega in the G1 finals.
See, I thought about that one as well.
And this is nothing against the trilogy that Okada and Omega put on this year. Those were all three just absolutely amazing matches. But Naito Omega, for me, I don't know what it was about it. I've watched that match probably 8 or 9 times since it happened. And every time I watch it, I just get dragged in and just as into it. The spots they did. I mean, they were trying to kill each other. That table spot with the pile driver table spot is one of the most dangerous and awesome spots I think I've ever seen in wrestling. 5.25 by the Melts. So yeah, Tetsuya Naito, Kenny Omega in the G1 Finals is my pick of the year.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen either one of those matches, you need to go check them out because they will change your life.
Literally, they'll change your life.
And that runs into WWE Match of the Year. 100% sure we have the same answer. Black Dream.
Yep.
Yeah. We don't need to, we've already talked about that match enough. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
If we were just doing overall match of the year, even though Naito Omega quality wise is better, Dream Black is my match of the year overall.
I agree. Yeah. If we were doing overall, mine would be the same. Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump over to the NXT side. We'll do NXT Female Wrestler of the Year. Might have the same answer for this as well.
So mine is going to be Nikki Cross.
Ooh.
I know she didn't ever get the title this year, but in terms of what entertained me, she entertained me more than any other female wrestler on the roster. The wild and crazy style that she does is something that we've seen a couple of females try to do, but never do it well. She does it to a T. She makes me believe that she's batshit insane and wants to rip the arms off of everyone around her. So yeah, she is my NXT Female of the Year.
Yeah, mine's Asuka.
Of
For
course.
obvious reasons. Like, it's hard to argue against her. Nikki Cross is a really good pick, but Asuka fucking ran NXT when she was still there.
Yep.
That plays into NXT Male of the Year.
You go ahead with yours.
Mine's Adam Cole.
Adam Cole, baby.
And we've talked about him already enough, but I'm going to talk about him more. And we talked about the War Games match. We did our War Games review on I guess it was the Survivor Series preview show a while back. Everything he did in that fucking War Games match was just gold. When he's, they're battling in between the rings, and then everyone falls off, and he's just stuck up there on the two corners in between the rings, and he just sits there like he's on a throne.
That is, I think that is going to end up being one of the most iconic images of his WWE career.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of the things when they're making video packages for his future, WWE World Title feuds, because he will be in World Title feuds.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's too good of a heel not to be. I think that's going to be one of the images they always go back to is Adam Cole sitting on his throne.
Yeah, and the way they've treated him since he got there is exactly how he deserves to be treated since he got there.
Yeah, they've. And the cool thing with him too, though, is he's suffered losses on TV, but it doesn't diminish him whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't think Adam Cole is any less of a badass anytime that he loses.
And his match with Alistair on NXT a couple weeks ago, and they did the NXT show on USA.
Yes,
was fantastic. And Alistair was really close to being my NXT pick, but just the stuff Adam Cole's done this year it's insane. And he hasn't even been there that long.
Yep. So I'm going to go an honorable mention, Aleister Black, just because I know we both probably would have picked him.
Yeah.
But I feel like Aleister Black is almost reaching the point of so good in NXT that you don't really have to mention him in these lists. Yeah, I mean, he's always going to be good. My NXT Performer of the Year is Andrade Cien Almas.
Ooh.
Talk about a guy who went from being a gatekeeper jobber and doing nothing to having a great feud with Johnny Gargano and then closing off the year as the NXT champion. I'm a big fan of the Tranquilo Man. He started my favorite faction, LIJ. Andrade Cien Almas is he's really shown me this year that he's a great heel. Zelina Vega is just perfect for him.
Yeah, Zelina Vega is. I'm really glad they gave him a manager because him by himself just wasn't
doing it for me.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
With Zelina Vega, man, I love it.
Yeah, it's incredible. See, what have we not done? I think we've done everything except the last two.
Cool, let's hit it.
All right, so we've got a female wrestler of the year.
I'm going to go ahead and go first. We might have the same answer. I don't know. I'm going to go with Charlotte. A year ago when Charlotte debuted, I was like one of the few people who just didn't like her at all. I don't know what it was about her. She just didn't connect with me. But this year, in her transition to a babyface, She's really grown on me. Her in-ring work is always consistently the best in the women's division outside of Asuka. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Queen, Charlotte Flair.
Going the opposite. Gonna go Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, she was my other one. I couldn't decide between.
She has been. I could not even tell you who's been Raw Women's Champion this year because she's been champ for like feels like all fucking year. I think she's had.
She's pulled a Miz with the IC title where she just drops it for a little bit and then collects it back.
Yeah, and I think I read earlier she's been Raw Women's Champ for 141 days.
This year.
Yeah,
Jesus.
which is insane. That's
Yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculous. But she's
I
great.
feel like she's still so underrated too.
Yeah, a lot. There's still a lot of people who like don't appreciate how good she really is.
I don't think we've had a female heel as good as she is since Lita.
Yeah, exactly. She may not be the best in ring, but just like you said, she's such a great fucking heel that it makes up for it.
She is literally in my eyes the Miz of the women's division.
Yeah, 100%. And that leads to the very last one, and that is Male Wrestler of the Year.
You can go ahead and lead this one off.
Okay, I was stuck between two. I wanted to go Kenny. Kenny is my honorable mention. But I have to go with AJ Styles. It's kind of a mainstream pick. But it's really hard not to pick him when you look at everything he's done this year. I mean, he started the year. He had that incredible match with John Cena at the Rumble.
Yep.
Went on to have a feud with Shane. And they had like a pretty decent match at Mania. I thought it was pretty good.
I think from in-ring aspect, their match at Mania was the best in-ring match.
Yeah, which is strange because Shane McMahon was in that match.
Yeah.
You know, and then after his feud with Shane, he goes on. He wins the U.S. title a few times. Makes the U.S. title more important than the WWE title. At a really good time for him to do that, actually. And then he goes on and beats Jinder for the WWE title just very recently.
Yep.
And you know, outside of all that, he really didn't even have to win a title this year because no matter what's going on SmackDown, you know that AJ Styles is there. He's never not going to be there, and he's always there to carry that show.
Yep. It really amazes me how in the short amount of time that AJ Styles has been in the WWE, he just feels like a WWE guy now.
Yeah, he's only been there for 2 years, but I swear it's hard to think of WWE without AJ Styles anymore. Addicts? He's gone again.
Of the WWE.
Okay, you cut out for a little bit, but I think you are back now.
Well, I was just saying more about how I was worried when AJ came to WWE that they weren't going to treat him the way that he deserved.
Yeah.
And they have completely shown that they know how great he is and that he deserves every world title run he gets, every U.S. title run. He is definitely the face that runs the place.
Yep, he's the champ that runs the camp, the face that runs the place. He had another one, but I can't remember what it is.
So my male wrestler of the year, and I've seen him get second and third on just about everybody's list. And it might be a little bit biased because I just love the character and everything about him. Tetsuya Naito. He has just really come into his own this year. He, a guy who just a couple years ago was literally voted out of the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, shunned by the fans, and he is now. I was reading some stuff today. He is the most popular New Japan merchandise seller in the world. He beats out the Bullet Club. He beats out everybody. His match quality is second to none. His series with Tomohiro Ishii this year has been some of my favorite sets of matches that he's had. And then, of course, that classic with Kenny Omega in the G1 finals. Him and Kota Ibushi's match at the start of the G1. What he did with the IC title in New Japan, I loved it. The complete disdain he had, and it's that long-term storytelling that New Japan is so good at, and he just took it and really ran with it. The guy had no faults this year, G1 winner, and I am hoping and praying that on Thursday I'm going to get to see him finally claim his top prize and win the IWGP title.
Yep, right out there with you. And you touched on it a little bit when you said, the fans turned on him and all that. It even got so bad, he left New Japan and went to CMML.
And that's where he actually hooked up with my NXT Male Star of the Year, Andrade Cien Almas, and joined the Los Ingobernables of Mexico, and then brought it back over to New Japan and created Los Ingobernables de Japón.
Yep.
And he talk about a guy who took the initiative to reinvent himself, and he came up with what I think is the closest rendition to Stone Cold Steve Austin we've seen since Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. He definitely does have my favorite story out of anyone going right now.
Yep. But this might blindside you a little bit, and that was kind of intentional. But one more thing before we close out the podcast.
Okay.
I want to know what one prediction that you have for pro wrestling in 2018 is.
Oh man, I'm trying. I was about to say it, but it's going to sound really biased.
Go ahead and do it, because I think I know what it is.
Even if it happens on December 31st, 2018, 1 year from now, Baron Corbin will be a world champion at some point.
Yep.
And that's the most biased pick, but I truly feel it's going to happen. We even talked about it right before we started doing this. The way his story has been told this year, he squanders opportunities, blah blah blah. It has to happen.
Yep. I think you're right. I think it is. I think that the whole squandering opportunities thing has been just the perfect build to get him up to that big main roster blow up.
Yeah. And if they manage to pull the trigger on it that way, I'll be okay with him losing Money in the Bank the way he did.
Yeah, I'm fine with them beating him down like they have, if that's what we're going to get out of it eventually. But yeah, my 2018 pick is that Samoa Joe is going to win the Universal title at some point. And I actually, if we're going to be even more specific, I think he's going to take it off of Roman.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the guy that eventually beats Roman Reigns and takes the title off Roman after Roman gets it at WrestleMania.
Yep, I can see that happening as well. I'll be shocked if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I will too. I think he's probably the NXT guy that I think he's more overdue for the world title than Shinsuke is. So, but yeah, that's our best of the year.
That was it. It's currently 5:26 Eastern Time, December 31st, 2017. So we're almost there. That'll be it. Last show for the year.
Thank you guys to everyone who has listened. Me and Sam just kind of started doing this randomly, and the support that we do have is awesome, and we appreciate everyone who tunes in and listens to us just ramble about our favorite sport.
Absolutely, yeah. I really do appreciate it, guys. Happy New Year. It's been a really good year for wrestling, really strange year. It's been the silly season. The NASCAR fan base, go ahead and throw out how white trash I am. The NASCAR fan base has a term for weird seasons when someone really weird wins the cup title. Call it the old silly season. So it's been the silly season for wrestling this year.
Yep.
We really appreciate it. Happy New Year from the Spot team. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to next year.
Be looking out for big things in 2018.
Big things happening. Never lost.
Never lost. Keep
Thank
going.
you guys.
Looking real Jack, baby. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Life. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.